think that, you know, if you can do that over in these first couple of days in your group as well, just put out the performance of your lifetime, directly qualify towards that grand finals, where a lot of that prize pool actually is already. So you just get maybe a tops. If you get even into that top 8, you've already made absolute bank. So, you know, having a really good performance here in the group stage, getting the direct qualification to the grand finals is really good, not only in terms of taking a lot of the pressure off you, but just in terms of securing the bag at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'm getting that mega bucks and being happy with your efforts. Well then, we make it back here, Group Green and the Green Pastures, as we go into ERANGEL one final time today. 3 of them a day. There's always room for adaptation. There's always room for aggression. We've seen some of the hot drops starting to resolve themselves again here. Bra eSports not wanting to clash versus DX, as they will take 2 different drops off the get-go.
Yeah, I mean, the boys on the desk we're talking about, it's just a case of, like, even if they want to go back to Pachinki now, it's a case where the Xavier are playing so well that they just accelerate the gameplay over in that position of the map, give them a real hard time, and just make it never worth to come back towards that position in the future, which I really enjoy overall. So this is great news for DX, you know, slightly less good news for BRA, but at the same time, you look at that last match, how many eliminations did BRA get? 10. It's not like they're a bad team. They were just massively hindering themselves from the get-go over in Pachinki, just staying way too long, forcing the issue. It was all fun and games on day 1, but I think they've realized now that it is time to switch things up, change things up, because it's not ideal the way they're currently playing. You look over towards the map, though, we're getting a Western Circle. We've had that Western plane path as well, and I think that might have made things pretty awkward for a lot of teams. Luckily for them, they don't have to go too far outside of the comfort zone here. They can move on back. There is a lot of those alternate drop spots available too. You can see even Alter Ego switching things up here, heading over towards Hospital and the trash loot compounds that do sit in that area. So decent stuff for them.
It's been nice to see as well, at least, that the gap towards the upper echelons is closing a little bit. We're starting to see some of our better squads accumulating a few more points. Reject Tokyo as well, doing a good job of actually maintaining quite a high placement, all things considered. It seems like, again, even today, Blank, you know, kind of always the bridesmaid, never the bride. You know, they're always being able to make it into that top 2 position, but not quite close out the games. It's unfortunate for them, but consistency is key, and as long as they can just maintain this, close it out with a good day of play, who knows what tomorrow will hold for them. Similar things can be said about A7's run yesterday. At the minute, though, it feels like they've petered off a little bit in terms of almost that snappy decision making. It felt like yesterday it was very cleanly cut in terms of the way that they'd be able to flank around other teams, find backdoors into fights where they would really pick people off and kind of add extra eliminations to their tally that almost at times you're thinking, how on earth have they even sort of squirreled those away? Today been a little bit quieter. Feels like they've been targeted a bit more by some of the other squads as well. So something to keep our eyes on. Gladiators on screens now, though, of course, looking a little bit better, but how far can they take it, Blank? How far can we see them ascend today? Because getting a little bit better still isn't going to be enough.
Yeah, I think for Gladiators in particular, like, today has been not so bad for them at all, right? You know, they've been able to get some good rotations in. And I think if you look at the overall point scoring from them, you could be somewhat a little bit disappointed from what's occurred. But if you are a fan of the Gladiators, I think you can sort of rejoice at this moment, because the matter of the fact is that they're actually doing some decent plays now. They're making some good rotations. They look like they're less in their own heads, right? You know, they're not living in their own heads rent-free anymore. They're definitely making some more smooth plays. They're opting for going for some of these engagements. There's still that hint of indecision in there, though, Jackie, and that's the one thing that does scare me just a little bit. But I appreciate that it wasn't a case of yesterday was just mad bad. And then you get into today and it's more of the same. But it looks like they have had that full reset, had a big breakfast, and come in feeling a little bit more lively here into today, which I am always happy to see. Looking at the map though, at the moment, we are having a fair few teams already towards the center of this map, you know, mainly because of that playing path and the circle itself. So not a lot of teams will have to breach through. And this is going to give some of these squads a really good chance to get into a decent location early on in the game and start controlling areas, these maps.
And a good early game can really project you quite far into a great late game. Quest on the peaks, trying to read the room in terms of the timing, but as he swings around the corner, Alpha 7 will be able to pick up the pieces on that one. So severing one player from the rest of Quest and leaving them down to a 4-stack as they get away. At least finding a compound to slow things down. But Al-Haji, he's had some big games playing. It feels like he's kind of the instigator for a lot of the bigger impactful plays we've seen from Quest. So losing him early, I don't know if that's going to be quite an impactful one to lose out. It feels like at times he is a bit of an impact fragger for them. So could be a problem. We'll see how they can react with it, how it affects them over the course of the game. One of the first players to exit stage left here into our third Erangel of the day as we wave goodbye to him.
I mean, you were mentioning AA7 as well, and I think they're a good team to bring up because they were doing fantastically well during that first day, right? They were doing lovely, and I was very, very pleased to see how they were playing, and it wasn't a case of they were getting outclassed or outmatched by some of these other squads who have a bit more of a pedigree, right, in terms of that ability. They certainly are a team that's been together for a long, long time now as A7. They've proved themselves in several different tournaments over the years, but I think the issue they're running into now is that mechanical ability alone is just not carrying them through. There's teams like Stalwart now. They used to be very focused over towards that macro play with having those two good players in action and top be able to take a lot of names with them. But A7 could usually overwhelm them with the squad that they had. But now you're going up against a whole new beast, a whole new type of team, especially throughout the entirety of the lobby. So I think A7, like you said, needs to get back to that bit of a snappier play style, go from point A to point B, and not like Max said on the desk yesterday, which we saw a lot in that region, which is point A, point 1, point A, point 2 to point B. This is not what we want to see. I want to see a bit of those better, quick decisions made from A7 because they're a great team and they can make fantastic things happen. In the meantime, we're watching Alter Ego on our screen currently get dumpstered a little bit by Stalwart as they continue to push in towards their base of operations.
As per usual, of course, it was Nerzed in such an advanced position, just kind of, you know, given so much room to play off the leash as well, right? In the way that if he wants to make a play, kind of comes it across, instantly just goes for it. The team seems to support it wholeheartedly, knowing that they've got a lot of faith in him in terms of the individual mechanics.
Yeah.
They're just able to harass Alter Ego really blank and make them uncomfortable. Even if you don't squad wipe them this early into a game, harassment and just whittling numbers, that's going to pay off massively.
Yeah, it's a play style that you kind of have to cultivate before you come into this tournament, though, right? And I think that is just the confidence factor coming through from Stalwart, because you look at Stalwart, you look at Bra Esport, they try and go for the same thing in a way where they're the bullies of the lobby. They will just crunch you out of position with sheer overwhelming force. The issue is if you try and play that same gameplay when your team just cannot match up to some of these squads in the lobby, you cannot push into the circle, you cannot find those cracks in the armor of other teams, and you just slowly get pushed out onto the edge a lot of times. So you need to know that you are the best before you come into this tournament to pull that kind of thing off. And if you can't do it on the first day, you have to quickly readjust. I think the readjust maybe came in a little bit too slow for Bra Esport and they had to swallow their pride a little bit earlier, but now at least they are back on the path to at least a survival stage finish for themselves. But for Stalwart, that playstyle is just working absolute wonders for them so far.
Yeah, it really does feel like, you know, they're kind of the biggest kid on the schoolyard. and everyone else is just too scared to touch them. Because that's the other thing that's going to come with it. You know, you think about when you run into them on a rotate now, you see Stalwart, you're probably already kind of thinking between two minds, or do we even actually really get stuck into this engagement?
Scared.
Yeah, like, do we just give up on it? Because the likelihood that we're going to get out-aimed right now is probably quite high, because they are just hitting some unbelievable shots. And the teamwork is super drilled from them. So they're not the sort of squad you want to run into. Probably for Bra as well, on the same page as DX, because probably just got all that trauma. You're like, oh, God, Pachinki.
They need some serious therapy right now after that, don't they, bro? Like, DXs just cause some big problems emotionally. The mental is damaged at this point in time. But again, it feeds back into what we were saying about Stalwart being the biggest kid in the playground. You know, he's got a beard. He's just got into secondary school.
he's only 11.
He's only 11. It doesn't make any sense. But I think for them, look at this. Like, they've just headed straight towards that central side. They know that they can challenge off against anyone, and that spot's open. This is not a circle where you're like, okay, I could just take center now, because the circle was over here in the first place. So was the playing path. There's likely to be a team there. They didn't care. They just sent it in. It was free. They've got it. Now they've got a really strong base of operations to play around with great sightlines out towards a lot of the fielded area around them. It is so good to play into their favor right now. And as you like to say, Jackie, you know, feed that hot hand.
You've got to, man. You've got to. It's the difference, really, of being able to bring up someone's confidence. Because the thing is, Blank, you know, confidence, especially like in esports in these days, it's one of those where it feels like if you break it and if you bring down someone that, you know, has natural talent but not enough confidence, it's very hard to ever get them back to that point. Whereas if you're someone that maybe is a little bit shaky or outside of the game, but you can come in, hit a couple of shots, you got your teammates saying, hey, man, that's sick. Suddenly the confidence goes up. You're more willing to make those hero plays. You're going to really manifest them and make them happen. It's the fickle thing about confidence. Very easy to break it, and sometimes you can't find it back, but you have to try. And in some of these squads, we're seeing the benefit of believing in yourself, of backing yourself in 1v2s, 1v3s, just how much of a difference it's made. Coastal clash going down here, though, as Gladiators are going to be on the roam. Falcons looking for the contact as they've got high ground to play with, spotting out Matic and putting a couple of bullets his way. Puncher jumps in a driving seat and seems to be debating whether or not he wants to start to make a bit of a move on this one, just getting the vehicle into a better position for later. But Matic stimmed up and on the move.
Mate, this is actually kind of a cool play that happening here, because Matic moves out into a location where he kind of is going to get shot no matter what, and then backs off. In the meantime, the entirety of Falcons are looking at him. You know what happens? All of Gladiators rotate over the top side. Unfortunately, they rotate directly into Mali's eSports, but it's a great distract play, no? It's really fun to see. Meku can't quite get behind. Kitsune might just be able to heal up, but his vehicle's absolutely trashed here. Meku shot out from underneath the vehicle. I mean, what they did there was smart. They got into a decent position because of it. They also circumvented quite a difficult rotate through Falcons. So you can see the Gladiators are still trying their best. I mean, from that western side, it's sort of the safe pick, the safe play, which you expect a team like Gladiators to go for at this point in time. Just hasn't really given them the biggest boon going forward, as they just rock straight up into a lot of teams with a little information that they had.
And I think at least one of the good things about that is it starts to show that Gladiators are willing to show ingenuity again, right? They're willing to kind of run a risk of, if someone calls the play, everyone's all in on it, rather than kind of umming and ahhing, because that's always the worst element. When you see a fractured team, when they're fragmented in just sticking to one call, that really can come back to bite you directly on the bottom, which is never what you want. Always quite painful. Makes it hard to sit down. At the minute, though, we're seeing some of Reject Tokyo being forced to sit down as they've been taking bullets from the wayside. It's Alter Ego that have been peppering up towards them. So you've already lost Rage and Ocio. And it just leaves the triple threat of the Japanese squad left alive, closely grouped, all jumping inside of the vehicle, though, and losing a ton of HP. Zone going to start to push them back out and take some of that space away from Alter Ego. They've set up just on the ridge here, and this is a triple threat now. A7 are coming in as well, Blank. I think the gloves are coming off. This is going to be a bit of a boxing match.
Absolutely, you're not wrong here whatsoever. For A7, Alter Ego, as well as Reject, they're going to be struggling to get out of this situation alive. And I think at this point in time, it's more about the elimination points. But Alpha 7, this is a bit more snappier. You know, they're heading up towards the northern edge, towards the ridge, to try and cut off both of these teams, acquire some elimination points in the process to make it easy to get into the circle going forward. Speed of the circle heads towards that northern side. This really does cause now problems for a lot of these teams down towards the south, who have to get a move on. DX immediately sends out from the safety of their compound towards this fielded zone with little to no compounds in it. The one that is the main focus point is Loops' compound over towards that northeast side. If they get a northeast shift on this circle, practically just a winning position. But in the meantime, every single team, they want to control the ridge on the left.
Going to be a fight for survival, it seems. Then right now we're seeing the clash going down. I8 spraying and hoping that they'll be able to smoke everyone that's coming up through this stairwell. Blade goes for the quick readjustment, tiptoeing his way around, low on HP. Reaggression comes out as Kishu will find the snapshot, hitting the head and stopping him in his tracks. Now playing field medic to get the rest of the team back up and see if he can save their bacon. So numbers thinned here. A few of our squads starting to lose manpower as the fights are kicking off across the battleground, it seems. Even Stalwart now losing one as they're down to a triple threat.
Yeah, it's never easy holding this ridge side because this team is filled with absolute giga gamers, right? Mega minds of the PUBG mobile scene. Everyone knows that this ridge is going to be so important to hold, right? You could hold down towards the eastern edge of it, try and play around that little hill that on the other side, but so many teams know they have to fight for their lives here. So we're going to have a lot of players going down, and very quickly in the meantime, A7, they move in towards Zia, and it's an absolute bloodbath right now as Carrillo sends in, takes down Shopper, picks up some shopping of his own as he picks up as much loot as possible from this building, and that's Zia out.
Gone again. I've had some really unlucky games over the course of the past 2 days. It's felt like just haven't been able to find too much to add any real points to their tally. Dead last at the minute with 11 being what they've been able to accrue. Falcons, best team in the world, slightly further ahead, 25 points to their name. So let's see where this goes from here then. Falcons are on screen at the minute, just ahead of Bra Esports. Oh, hello. Rosemary tuning in. He's got one across onto Gladiators, Blank.
He's completely split off as well, he's Matic, so it's not like he's getting back up again, leaving Tixie all on his lonesome. And I think really at that point, you just regroup back up with Tixie. Mad Balls are in, takes down the remainder of Reject. What a send in, like the cavalry. I mean, at this point in time, it's going to be very hard to get Tunica back up on his feet. You'd either have to carry him, but with BRA looking down towards this side of the hill, it's going to be carnage for the Mad Balls as they all get picked to pieces. For Tunica, instantly has to hit the bandage on stage 4. We're heading into stage 5 as well, so Zerich is most likely down. Chua will find Rosemary, but in the meantime, it will be Tixie going down on the south side. So Gladiators, again, not another good game for them, but another decent rotate, another decent attempt at getting points. And as long as they continue having this mentality going to day 3 and day 4, I do think there is a chance for them to get into the survival stage.
You'd hope so. You'd hope so, man. It feels like there's definitely a lot of talent there. Just needs to blossom a little bit. Just needs to see them delivering. And at the minute, who is going to deliver here? This is the last game of ERANGEL for the day. Following this, we've got 2 more games, both of them being on Miramar. So opportunities to secure points getting lower and lower as today ticks on by. After this, there'll be 2 more days of competition for Group Green. Oh, nades coming out though, Blank. And that's going to be obscene. Red face as well. Look at him. That killer instinct's kicked in. He knows that he can aggress now. Utility in the back pocket as well, but he's taken a hefty hit, Blank. Second guesses it. Tries to backpedal, but Tiamba, they hold their ground. The cornfield is burning, but they're hotter.
You're right. He should have just held his ground there in that situation. Backing off was not the right play. Yes, he had the angles coming through from Misery and Zuxi, but they're really struggling to hit this one out. I like this from Loops, right? You know, this is a winning compound they currently have on the northeast side, but they hear themselves, the third party. They send down towards the south, try and clean it up. They want the game to be easier for themselves in the long run, and they're not afraid to take some risks to make that happen. In the meantime, BRA, Toxic, will take down Fleek, last remaining member coming through for the Mad Bulls, and once again, we're seeing BRA rev themselves up for another good game because they didn't go to Pachinki.
That's all it took. The one adaptation. Not sticking to that over-arrogance, not sticking to that confidence of we need our primary drop. All it took was a couple of small adjustments, and already they're starting to actually find opportunities to amass points. Is it too little, too late? Only time will tell. They have to set the pace in every game and try and project themselves as far as they can over the course of the next couple days. And you can see with the spacing here, they found a few opportunities to backstab and deal damage onto Stalwart, at least softening them up once again. Even Icy eating bullets with the UMP from a distance as he's left in a bit of a rough spot. And Kane's got good eyes on him as well. Relatively nice lay of the land from the high ground they've got here. They know they can't be flanked from the back with their backs turned towards the blue. And they've got a little bit of map geometry. So it's not looking too bad for Bra right now, Blank.
Yeah, I mean, Kane has to keep tabs on quite a few things at the moment, which is why he's hurrying Toxic up towards his position, right? He needs him to hold over towards Falcons whilst he can spot down towards Stalwarts, clean out the rest of those players. DX out, kind of a surprising turn of events there, considering they were able to get up towards that top side. Sorry, that was Pasija Evos. We've both got quite demonic logos. It's a problem for me at the moment.
Yeah. I feel you on it.
I'm okay with that because this does mean that eventually we might have the BRA DX rematch in this match, which is always lovely to see. And we'll see if BRA can, in fact, come out on top this time, regain some of that pride, some of that confidence, some of the glory into the PMGC League stage. Alpha 7, though, comfortably sat on this northern edge. Loops took a bit of a risk. They took a knock because of it, and Tiamba still pushing forward. It's just QZZ, though, and Ayala desperately trying to keep his boy alive.
Ayala. We've been saying it all day, but specifically yesterday as well, he was really good when it came down to hitting the mark when he needed to. In this instance, prioritizes dealing damage towards the vehicles, blowing up the engine block, making it unusable. So Tiamba can't find a quick rotate. Nade? Oh, look, that was actually pretty clean. Thought he was going to get it through the window there, Blank. Trade back of damage, though. These are filthy peaks. Look at the way that he's crouching into this as well. It's like a rhythm game.
I mean, QZZ is not one to be ever underestimated. This lab played on Nova back in the day was an absolute killer for them. Finally down to the barest edge of damage, and they can get some more of their lads back up in action. So Tiamba go out with 3 eliminations, but valiant attempt there from QZZ. Some sick little angles, some sick little peaks coming out from that dude. Kane's up on top right now on the roof trying to gather some more information. They firmly have the southwest edge. Loops obviously do now have to leave, and Stalwart, despite everything, still have 2 players into this match. Again, still continuing to chunk away at those placement points. DX though, did they just love the Shaq or something? It's like, is this their like MO Shaq gameplay?
It's the love Shaq, Blank.
I mean, they're all in there. They're chilling.
Yeah, B52 in right now, living it large. Let's see how long they're going to be content though. Is there going to be a new landlord in town? Someone's going to come in, slam the lease down, tell them they're being evicted. We'll find out right now. A bit of a move as you've got Kane jumping in the vehicle, having a cruise, trying to draw the attention onto him, planting seeds of doubt in their minds. Tops, he has been absolutely menacing in some of our games, posting unbelievable damage numbers, really quick with it, absolutely slick in the 1v2s, and he's got backup as well. Oh, it's the man you'd want. Nurzed still alive and kicking in the back line. Pin pulled on a grenade, looking to instigate a fight. Kakali just trying to understand and assess where exactly everyone is. Meanwhile, we can see the Love Shack still in play for DX as Loops are on the move.
pushing through to that Eastern Edge. I think a lot of teams understand that there likely is going to be one team at least with 4 or 3 players over on that Eastern side. So a lot of eyes towards Loops at the moment. It will be pretty tough to get through, and they're looking to push down towards DX's shack, which is apparently owned by a landlord, which I feel bad about, right? Which landlord is renting out shacks these days? I mean, it is the Love Shack, to be fair. Quite a piece of property indeed. Revo, though, comes out from that top side and will put down one of the players coming through from Loops. Isla is out.
It's a good first no. Top still just lurking, buying his time as well. We're getting ever closer to the possibility of Bra eSports path eventually crossing DX. Maybe they're the secret landlord. Maybe it was their property the whole time. We'll see. Is the lease in the back pocket?
Whip it out. Demand recompense for coming anywhere near to them. They are on the outside of the circle, though, so they will have to finally go out on an outing from the Love Shack itself. It is in a ditch too, so getting out of here will mean they'll have to have eyes in the back of their head, and all players have to be swiveling that head 360, see if they can get it done. Surprisingly, I think Loops has got quite far into this game. I thought there would be way more players looking over towards their direction. There's been a serious stalemate between both of these teams over towards BRA and Stalwart and DX. Nice shots from Chief, though. The Chieftain seriously bringing the pain, bringing the thunder in these matches so far. Levi's got barely 2 steps outside of his home before he got taken down.
Ooh, he's trying to crawl back to safety as well, but denied as Chief shuts him down with the big nades, blowing him to bits and stopping him in his tracks. Nurzed, he's just been waiting, dinner plate loaded, ready to unload and stick a fork in him if they peek out. There's first contact, big damage done. Backs off for a quick nade as well, lines up the arc on it, hopes that it will be right on target. As it lands in, perfect.
His aim is squeaky clean, the arcs and his grenades are insane. Disgusting stuff, leaving Tops to deal with BRA all on his lonesome. This is terrified. And DX go out with nothing but a sound. As still Stalwart battling back against many different teams in the lobby. Smoke's being let out at the moment to try and provide a base of cover to get Tops back up. BRA, they've got bigger things to deal with as A7 starts to swarm in the distance. They've got a nice lineup here. We asked for more from this team. They're starting to deliver like a postman on a Monday.
The letterboxes are open, and he is pasting them straight in. First class delivery. Talking about first class as well, the reset from Stalwart is pretty A1. The fact that you've been able to revive Tops, get the smoke down, play off the fact that you know the attention of Bra has been taken by A7 pushing in from the side. And this is quite the regional clash we've got going on here as well, with both of our LATAM sides in play. The big boys from Brazil on both Loops and A7 coming out to try and deal some deathly blows. That's going to be an aggressive playstyle going into the final circle here. Limited numbers across the board as well, Blank. A7 is the only one with 3 players alive and kicking. Nurzed, though, we know he's a one-man army. He basically counts for 2, but he's going to be left black and blue on the contact as he's overwhelmed as Bright Esports finish him. Take down Stalwart, whittle us down to 3.
Yeah, BRA sensed the looming threat of A7 on the distance. As soon as they got that knock as well, they decided it was high time just to send it in and show them what BRA is made out of. Stalwart goes down with nothing but a sound there. Nurzed not able to stand up to them. Senab does find Cardozin though with a lovely little nade, and Chief, I think he just wants to secure this second place. Looking over towards the 2 players from BRA. 3 players for A7. It's seriously doable for any of these squads at the moment. Chief could pull off something absolutely crazy. I wouldn't be surprised to see it with the way he's been playing today.
Something's changed though for A7. They're starting to kick it into second gear. The way they're playing, it's a little bit more aggressive. They're taking fights, they're swinging into these encounters, and it seems that they want to lop their head off. They want to claim success on this one. Chief trying to stay alive and keep his nose clean. Nades detonating all around him. How far can you push this? Can Chief somehow steal away An upset on this one. Here's the first contact. Goes for the peek-in versus Bra. Drawing the attention as well now, Blank. Now the other squad is also going to hone in on this. A7 are aware of what's going on. Follow up on the repeat doesn't work. Coursera shuts it down. All thrown into this then. A 1v1 towards the finish.
And it will be A7 to take themselves another little victory here. Finally picking one up for themselves. Great stuff for them.